my darlings, I hope you're all doing very, very well. I just want to do a quick content warning for this video. I will be discussing a pretty serious crime throughout this video. I won't be going into too much depth or anything like that, but I just thought I'd give you a little warning because I know sometimes this type of content isn't for everyone, and I can completely understand that, you know, like if you're not into like true crime or anything like that, then this video might not be for you. But I really want to make this video and make awareness for a terrible tattoo artist, because what I'm about to talk about doesn't seem to be very well known at all. I think maybe just like the closest people to this tattoo artist that are going to know this situation. But when it comes to like the tattoo industry, yeah, no, nobody knows, I don't think. So yeah, it's a heavy one, so proceed with caution, if you will. So for a quick intro as to what I'm going to be talking about in today's video, we'll be taking a deep dive look into a tattoo artist and a tattoo business owner by the name of Jamie Lewis, who was once a police officer, but he was caught sending and editing photos of two dead women while on duty, basically. And he was in a group chat with some other police officers, and he was making jokes about these dead women. He was fired, sent to prison and all of that, and upon release he became a tattoo artist and launched a tattoo business called Apollo Tattoo Aftercare, and he also opened up a tattoo studio called Graceful Tattoo Collective. He's managed to do all of this and get away with it, and without people kind of outing his past, because he's changed his name to Jay. He doesn't go by Jamie Lewis anymore. His social medias say Jay. His tattoo studio website also says Jay. There is absolutely no inklings of him being called Jamie by any means, and obviously people with a bad past do this, so people don't Google them. You know, if he had his name saying Jamie Lewis, then obviously people are going to find a ton of news articles about him and discover his past. So of course, let's change the name to Jay. We've seen this before. I've definitely covered tattoo artists that have done this before because they have a terrible reputation. But Jamie's or Jay's, it's bad, like really, really bad. So I had a couple of messages from people who know this information or kind of put two and two together and, you know, sent me messages. I don't want to say who they are because I know people like Jay are absolutely horrific and will do everything in their power to try and stop this news from spreading and go after anyone that talks about it. So I'm going to keep them quiet, but they know who they are, so thank you to those people. As I'm not a tattoo artist and I don't have my own tattoo studio, I don't have a bunch of clients, I have absolutely no worries when it comes to outing predators and terrible tattoo artists, because like what like you can't come from my business because I don't have one. So I luckily have that privilege to be able to out these horrible people. Anyway, so let's get back to Jamie or Jay, whatever you want to call him. There is obviously a ton of articles about this situation. There's one from The Guardian. This article says, two Met police officers jailed over photos of murdered sisters. Dennis Jaffer and Jamie Lewis sentenced to 2 years and 9 months for taking and sharing photos of Nicole, Smallman and Bibaa Henry. And then here is Jamie's mugshot along with Dennis. Jamie is the one on the right, the one with the more prominent beard situation. So then this article from The Guardian says, two Metropolitan police officers who dehumanized two black murder victims for their own amusement by taking and sharing photos from the scene where they lay murdered have each been jailed for 2 years and 9 months. Dennis and Jamie were ordered to guard the scene in a London park where two sisters, Nicole Smallman, 27, and Bibaa Henry, 46, were found stabbed to death in June 2020. The Old Bailey in London heard that instead they took photos, some showing the bodies, and shared them into two WhatsApp groups calling the victims Dead Birds. One, a group called the A-Team, contained 41 police officers, and the other contained friends of Jaffer and was entitled COVID Cunts. Sorry for my language. I know some people don't like that word. The sentencing followed a criminal trial in which the two pleaded guilty to misconduct in public office after The Guardian last year revealed the scandal that rocked Britain's largest force. The court heard the actions of the two police officers amounted to a gross breach of trust, stripped the two women of dignity in death, and intensified the agony of their mother and their family, some of whom served in the Met. The actions helped the defense of the murderer of the two women, Danielle Hassan, whose defense team tried to claim possible contamination by two officers entering the crime scene. So not only did these two horrific, disgusting, vile men take photos of two dead women after being brutally murdered, they also basically helped the murderer by potentially contaminating the crime scene and helping the murderer, you know, get off with a lighter sentence and what have you. There is then a picture of Bibaa and Nicole, and they are both just so beautiful. Joel Smith, prosecuting, told the Old Bailey the bodies of the women would not have been visible from the path adjacent to the large bush where they were found, nor would it have been possible to take the photographs taken by the defendants from their position on the cordon. So the prosecutor was basically like, these police officers went out of their way to take photos. They went to the crime scene where they should not have been. Accordingly, to take the photos found on their phones, the officers would have had to enter the bush itself, thus risking contamination of the crime scene. Smith added, the offending stripped Miss Henry and Miss Smallman of dignity in death. That factor is more weighty given that the offenders were charged with protecting their bodies. The judge, Mark Lookcraft QC, described the offences as appalling and done for a cheap thrill. Both former officers will serve half their sentences before being released on licence. The mother of the two sisters, Mina Smallman, described their actions as a betrayal of such a catastrophic proportion, sacrilegious, and carried out for their own amusement. Smallman, in her victim impact statement, said, it made me think of the lynchings in the deep south of the USA, where you would see smiling faces around a hanging dead body. Those police officers felt so safe, so untouchable, that they felt they would take photographs with our murdered daughters. Those police officers dehumanized our children. She believed police racism was a factor in the Met's initial bungling of the search for her daughters when they were reported missing. Speaking outside court after the sentencing, Smallman said she was thrilled the officers had been jailed and not received suspended sentences. We've been to hell and back again, she said. There is more work to be done. The most important thing is, because of the sentencing, we are part of the change that's going to come in the culture of the police force. And then there is a picture of Nicole and Bibaa's mother here, absolutely fighting for their daughter's dignity, and that is so admirable. And I cannot imagine what it feels like to be her. Like, I don't think we'll ever fathom, you know, the fact that, again, she's lost her two daughters, and the professional people that are meant to, you know, treat their bodies with nothing but respect did the complete opposite of that. I mean, the rage, I just can't even fathom what that feels like. Like, it's beyond thought for me. The Guardian article then carries on saying Jafar left the post he had been assigned to and went into bushes where the women had been left by their killer. The officer took out a mobile phone and took pictures of the bodies from around 12 feet away. He sent 4 images to Lewis, who is Jamie Lewis, who is Jay, the tattoo artist we'll be talking about mostly in this video, who edited one of the photos and superimposed his face onto it, with the 2 murdered women visible in the background to produce a selfie-style image. Because that's completely normal. Like, who the fuck does that? Jafar's barrister said the former officer only sent the photos to selected members of the COVID WhatsApp group, which consisted of couples he and his wife had holidayed with. Could you imagine getting these types of photos sent into a group chat? Like, what the heck? What went through this person's mind? Like, Lewis, as in Jamie Lewis, as in Jay, again, the tattoo artist we will be talking about in this video, who sent one picture to fellow officers with the text, "Unfortunately, I'm sat next to 2 dead birds full of stab wounds." What the hell? Disgusting behaviour. Jafar resigned from the Met in August, whilst Lewis was sacked by disciplinary tribunal. And it goes on to say that Bibaa Henry was a senior social worker and Nicole Smallman, who was a photographer, had been celebrating their elder sister's birthday in Friern Country Park in Wembley, northwest London. They were stabbed to death by Hassan, now 19, who was obsessed with Satan and was jailed for life for the murders. And all of this is so incredibly heartbreaking once again. Like, you have a mother now that has lost 2 daughters in the most tragic way possible, and then again you have police officers making a joke out of that. Did find the sentencing remarks just to emphasize on what Jamie Lewis Jay did. So it says, analysis of your phone show that Jafar, you took 4 images, and Lewis, that you took 2 of the scene. Lewis, you also made a selfie style image. On your phone, Lewis, there are images taken from 4:36 a.m. onwards. One is a blurred photograph with the bodies discernible. Another taken at 5:10 a.m. shows the bodies of the 2 deceased lying intertwined with Miss Henry's exposed back to the camera. You also took a screenshot of your own photograph. You created an image on your phone in which you superimpose your face in a selfie pose in front of the bodies of the 2 women. This was created at 41 minutes past 4 a.m. Jafar, you took images that are sent to Lewis at 4:39 a.m. and then at 5:21 a.m. They include images with the bodies identifiable, so you could tell who the bodies were basically. And oh boy, it's, again, like I've been saying, this whole thing is just so disgusting, so revolting, so vile, and I have nothing but love and empathy for Nicole's family to go through all of this. There's also a Sky original documentary on this situation. It's called Bibaa and Nicole Murder in the Park. There is 3 episodes. The synopsis for these episodes is new and exclusive. See the lead up to Bibaa and Nicole's disappearance, the 36 hours after they went missing, and the discovery of their bodies after a slow police response. That's for episode 1. For episode 2, follow the police hunt for the murderer of Bibaa and Nicole and the discovery that officers took photos of the women's bodies. And then for episode 3, it says follow 2 investigations. The first into Bibaa and Nicole's murderer, the second into the officers who took selfies with their bodies. Now, I watched this, and I will say, be warned, if you are going to watch it, it is very, very upsetting. It's not an easy watch by any means. I mean, most true crime stuff really isn't, is it? But yeah, it just really sheds a light on the impact of this all, and just how, again, I keep saying disgusting, but it is truly disgusting what these police officers did. So now we're going to talk about Jamie Lewis and how he went from police officer to now tattoo artist. So like I was saying, he is now known as Jay. This is his Instagram. It is J_TattooArt, and the name literally says Jay TattooArt. He doesn't have his last name there, which some tattoo artists don't anyway. Like, that in itself really isn't a red flag, but for this situation it very much is. The fact that he went onto Instagram and put his last name as Tattoo Art, just so there's something there, you know. It says he's a black and grey realism tattoo artist in Ipswich. He's the owner of Graceful Tattoo Collective, which is true. He owns his own tattoo studio, which sounds about right, because most tattoo artists do end up opening up their own tattoo studios, because any decent tattoo studio wouldn't hire someone with a past like Jamie's, let's be serious. Even if he was to go around saying, hey, my name's Jay, he would eventually have to give his last name out for details or what have you. And of course, if he was to work in a tattoo studio, the owner of that tattoo studio would Google his name. So he took the shortcut and opened up his own tattoo studio. I also want to show that this is 100% Jamie. I'm not just accusing some random Jay of this. As you can see, this is the same person. The nose is the biggest giveaway. You know, like, he may have aged a little bit, you know. Crime does that to a person, I guess. But the nose is the exact same. Like, it's got that like curvature to it, and the layout of his facial hair is like the exact same as well, and the structure of his face and all of that. As for Jamie's history of being a tattoo artist, I did scroll down to the bottom of his Instagram page. It does seem he started tattooing in around about 2021. I do believe he is a self-taught tattoo artist due to some of the posts he would post up in his early days of tattooing. As you can see from this post from 2021, the bedding behind this tattoo is not wrapped. It's not wrapped in plastic wrap or cling film, whichever you would like to call it. You have to do that in the the UK. So I believe he is self-taught, because if he did do an apprenticeship, well, that's probably one of the first things that does get drilled into your head as an apprentice. You have to wrap your beds and your armrests. Here's another example of him not wrapping his armrest or bed. And what do you know, here is another one. You get the point. There is a few like this. So this is the last post he posted before he went to jail. I believe he went to jail around about the 6th of December, something like that. So this would make sense. And then the next post after that is from the 29th of April 2023. So there is a big gap there, and that's obviously when he was in jail. He didn't do his full time in jail. As you can see from this article, they were released from jail early. He started offering up tattoo bookings on the 7th of May 2023. And to start off with, Graceful Tattoo Collective was called Grace Cosmetics. This is because his other half was a lash tech at the time. So what they would do is obviously work together in the same space. She would do lash extensions and then Jamie would do tattoos. And then in July of last year, they announced doing a rebrand and calling it Graceful Tattoo Collective. So this is Jamie's tattoo studio website. You have the front page here that says Graceful Tattoo Collective, custom tattoo studio in Ipswich, and then it lists the type of work that they do. It says, we are a family-run studio that treats clients like extended members. Jay knows absolutely nothing about respecting family members. Let's be serious, because he did not respect two murdered sisters. I would delete that from your website immediately if you're watching this, Jamie, okay? Don't even start. It's so disrespectful. Meet our team. Here's Jay, the owner and artist. These two, Emily and Jamie, also own a tattoo aftercare business. We'll get into that in a minute. And like I mentioned a moment ago, Jamie and Emily are a couple. They are together. And then this is another thing that is so incredibly worrying to me, like huge, massive red flags, is the fact that everyone else that works at this studio is all women. So we have another tattoo artist here, woman. Another tattoo artist who I've looked into, woman. Another tattoo artist, woman. Another tattoo artist, woman. Another tattoo artist, woman, or apprentice, shall I say. We've got junior artists here. So basically, Jay is out here teaching all of these women to tattoo. It is such a huge red flag to me. I have a huge inkling that these women don't know his past. I'd be very, very shocked if they do, honestly. Because Jay is for sure trying to hide it as much as he most possibly can. And should they not know, and should they find out, well, they're women. The chances of them going up to him and be like, hey, is this you? Is very, 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 very slim, because men can be scary. We all know that, right? Men can be incredibly scary, especially as he has his criminal history of, you know, not respecting women. It is honestly such a red flag that this guy in his 30s is employing all of these women. Like, it just does not sit right with me. I'm sorry. It just does not look good to me in any way, shape or form. I'm just gonna say it, all right? Like, I've made enough content on predatory behavior to be able to sniff out predatory behavior. My flags are so red. They are waving so violently right now. Like, God, it's so worrying. So like I mentioned, Jamie has a tattoo aftercare business. I went on to the government website. So what I'm showing you now, literally anyone can access. I'm not doxing it. I mean, I have hid more personal information like addresses and stuff, just because I don't, you know, I don't want to be accused of doxing, even though this is out there for anyone to see. But I have covered, you know, information that I think might be not the best to put on YouTube. So yeah, this is the business information about Apollo Tattoo Aftercare. As you can see, director's details there, Mr. Jamie Lewis, and then you have Emily Lewis there. So it's very, very evident that Jamie and Emily do own this Apollo Tattoo Aftercare. And here you go again with more information. Emily Lewis is the director, and then Jamie Lewis is also the director. They both own this business equally. Now, Apollo Tattoo Aftercare is a somewhat new aftercare business. It's been around for about a year now, so it is still kind of new. So on May 20th of 2024, Apollo Aftercare Aftercare posted this. It says, our Olympian gods are working tirelessly in the background to create tattoo aftercare that is out of this world. Not only is it made with the finest skin healing properties, it smells like Chanel, and Zeus had a love child. And then on the 3rd of August, they posted up this Instagram post that says, receive 10% off your first order. It's official. Our website is now live. Check out our amazing tattoo butter, which has the ability to cleanse and purify both physically and spiritually. Give me a break. This aspect ties into his role as a healer, demonstrating his capacity to protect and care for the well-being of both gods and mortals. Okay, great, lovely. You have a story behind your brand. Great, amazing. Then on August 10th, there is another post that, you know, kind of showcases the original tattoo aftercare that they first launched with. And then on their website, you can see here the type of stuff that they sell now. So you have aftercare, balms, that's their main priority or their main selling focus, the tattoo aftercare balm butter situation that you put on healing tattoos. They do other things like soap and a cleanser and just stuff like that. I think they do like a second skin as well. Just your average tattoo aftercare and cleaning situations, okay? Apollo Tattoo Aftercare also in June, I think it was around about June, they started to sell tattoo cartridges, so what you would put into your tattoo machines. They have a Instagram post that has a review that says, tried the Arrow carts today. Guys, honestly fucking fantastic, super stable, holds plenty of ink, and they deposit the ink really efficiently into skin. Really impressed, honestly, well done for those, game changer. And then there is another Instagram post kind of going through the details of these tattoo ink cartridges. Now the Apollo Tattoo Aftercare Instagram is very, very lively. It is very, very active. There are so many photos and videos from tattoo artists using the Apollo Tattoo Aftercare products, whether that is, you know, the tattoo balms or the cleaning products or what have you, or the tattoo cartridges. There is many, okay? There's also many tattoo artists announcing that they are now sponsored by Apollo Aftercare, which means Apollo basically sends these tattoo artists a care package or a bundle of their things and products and cartridges and what have you, right? And they do this so the tattoo artists can try the products throughout tattoo appointments with clients, and then sometimes these tattoo artists will give their clients like a little trial size of the aftercare, so then they can use that while they're, you know, healing their tattoos. And then this obviously creates repeat customers, whether that is tattoo artists or clients, you know, like it's a good tactic of getting your product out there and getting as many people as possible to try it. If a tattoo client likes the aftercare balm, chances are they're gonna go and buy some more if it really works for them, or they like the smell of it or the feel of it or what have you. And if tattoo artists like the products that they are gifted from Apollo when they become a sponsored artist, chances are they will buy from Apollo some more products, like, oh, I need more of this aftercare balm, or oh, I need more, you know, cartridges. Normally when you are sponsored by a brand, they don't send you everything. Like sometimes you do have to pay for things, like they'll gift you a few things here and there to help you, but you may have to buy things as well. Of course, Apollo Aftercare also do this for social media exposure. The more tattoo artists that post about Apollo Tattoo Aftercare, the better, because the people that follow tattoo artists are other tattoo artists and tattoo clients. So the tattoo artists that post about Apollo Aftercare have the target audience that Apollo Tattoo Aftercare need, right? Like, it's very, very smart. Now, I highly, highly doubt that the people that are working alongside Apollo Tattoo Aftercare, the ones that have said, yes, I would love to be a sponsored artist, or those that have bought from Apollo Tattoo Aftercare, have any idea as to who is behind Apollo Tattoo Aftercare. I fully believe that the majority have no idea that the person behind the business that they are promoting and funding is a disgusting human being, because I fully believe that the majority of them would be like, ew, absolutely not if they knew, right? Like, I would like to think that anyway. Now, understandably, the majority of us are very much guilty of, you know, buying products without looking into who the owner is. You know, you'll go food shopping, just grab a bag of crisps, don't really think about it or what have you, but I feel like the majority of people's morals are a lot more higher and much more important when it comes to the art industry or fashion industry. A lot more people try not to support businesses that do have a problematic past. One that I can think of at the top of my head is Dolls Kill. Dolls Kill is an alternative fashion brand that has a huge controversial past, and I think they're still out some dodgy things here and there. I don't know, I've never myself bought from Dolls Kill or what have you. But yeah, a lot of people do try and be a lot more mindful when it comes to supporting businesses that you know, create things, whether that is clothes or art or tattoo aftercare products, you know. And sure, that's maybe a bit of an unfair standard if we again compare to, you know, buying a bag of crisps and not really thinking about who the CEO is of that brand of bag of crisps you just brought. But like I've said before in a few videos, art, whether you like it or not, is political, and I sure as hell would not take any gifts or support Apollo Tattoo Aftercare as soon as I found out who is behind the business. And again, I feel like that would be the same for the majority of the tattoo artists that have been sponsored by Apollo. Like, could you imagine you have this flag in your tattoo studio and then, you know, a client walks in and goes, Apollo Tattoo Aftercare, isn't that run by the guy that took photos of 2 murdered sisters? Like, what you do, like, I don't want to, if you're backing that, I'm not gonna, you know, get tattooed by you. I personally wouldn't want to get tattooed by someone that is using Apollo Tattoo Aftercare. Sure, they may not know, that's fine, because if you don't know, then you don't know. But should a person know, yikes, you know. This is why I think that there is absolutely no inkling as to who is behind Apollo Tattoo Aftercare. Again, it's not on their social media or anything like that, and even if it was, the name of one of the owners, Jay, is Jay. It's not, you know, his full government name for a reason. Another super sketchy thing to me is the fact that on Jay's profile it only says that he is sponsored by Apollo Tattoo Aftercare. It doesn't say that he is the owner of it or anything like that. It's literally sponsored by Apollo Tattoo Aftercare. He also posts about Apollo Tattoo Aftercare as if, again, he is just a regular tattoo artist that just happens to be sponsored by them. There's also this on the Graceful Tattoo Collective tattoo studio website. It says that they recommend Apollo Tattoo Aftercare. They basically try and promote it as much as they most possibly can without saying, hey, we own this. And that's just so weird to me. It's understandable as to why they do this, because then obviously a situation like this video would happen if they were very loud and proud about it. People would have connected the dots a lot more quicker than within a year. And yeah, it's very, very sketchy to me, the fact that they have tried to hide who owns Apollo Tattoo Aftercare as much as possible. I also feel that Apollo Tattoo Aftercare is taking advantage of tattoo artists with these sponsorships and how many they are dishing out. A lot of tattoo artists do have a goal of becoming a sponsored tattoo artist. It's kind of like a little career goal that some tattoo artists have, which is completely understandable, especially if a tattoo artist has a brand that they have admired for so many years. Could you imagine like being sponsored by that brand? Like, that would mean something to a tattoo artist. And they definitely do seem to sponsor a lot of, you know, beginner tattoo artists or tattoo artists that haven't been sponsored before or don't have any sponsors within their bio other than like Apollo or what have you. So they definitely do take advantage of those that, you know, don't have sponsorships or maybe desperate for a sponsorship or whatever. I don't know. It's just, it's very wild how they've gone all guns blazing and they've only been around for a year and they're really like dishing out as much as they most possibly can to get their name out there and to get as many tattoo artists on their side as possible. So if they have a lot of tattoo artists willing to work with them and, you know, happy to take freebies from them, trying to get the word out there that Jamie is behind all of this, tough one. It's gonna be tough. Like, I don't think many people are gonna be listening, honestly. Like, tattoo artists, I don't know. I guess it really depends where tattoo artists' morals are. Like, sure, you get free stuff, but do you really want to support someone that took photos of dead bodies and added on more grief to their mother? So alongside Apollo Tattoo Aftercare getting tattoo artists on their side by giving out sponsorships left, right and centre, they are also now working alongside a tattoo convention, and I don't think this will be the last one either. They sponsored the Mancunia Tattoo Convention, apologies for pronunciation. It was formerly known as the Stockport Tattoo Convention, but they changed the name, and they did indeed sponsor this tattoo convention, and that basically means that, you know, on any advertisement there would be a Apollo Tattoo Aftercare logo on it. So as we can see here from this post from Apollo Tattoo Aftercare, there is this person that's won a competition, which is someone that is a pro team artist. But as you can see in the back there is like this advertisement sheet thing that people stand by and take photos of when they win an award. And as you can see, there is the Apollo Tattoo Aftercare logo right there. So every photo you're gonna see Apollo Tattoo Aftercare. And of course, a lot of their sponsored tattoo artists won in the competitions for this tattoo convention. Tattoo convention competitions are always a bit, I don't know, like, some of them seem very, very legit and don't seem dodgy, but this one, like, how many of these tattoo artists that are sponsored by Apollo Tattoo Aftercare won? Do you know what I mean? And they're also sponsoring the convention. Like, it's just very, very odd to me, you know? Maybe I'm reading into things too much, but it's given setup, it's given planned, it's given, hey, I will give you money for your tattoo convention if you let some of my tattoo artists that I sponsor win in these competitions. Do you know what I mean? Maybe I am too much. Maybe I'm reading into this too much, but whatever. Now, if we look back at Jay's Instagram, it says that he's sponsored by Tattoo Everything Supplies, and I myself have a little bit of beef with Tattoo Everything Supplies. I have made a couple of videos about them and how they are pretty problematic. They basically decided to support a tattoo ink brand that had very, very, very questionable ink names. Some of them were kind of tongue-in-cheek and kind of funny, like whatever, but there was one called Statutory Grape, which basically is a play on statutory rape, and Tattoo Everything Supplies was like, meh, whatever, we'll stand by, we'll continue to stock it or whatever, we don't care. And of course, Tattoo Everything Supplies is backing Jay by sponsoring him, but you know, birds of a feather flock together, am I right? Like, this is not shocking by any means, and this just further proves that vile humans like to congregate and support one another and protect one another within the tattoo industry. I've spoke about it so many times. It's called the Boys Club. Here is obviously another big example of that. Now, of course, there is a huge chance that Tattoo Everything Supplies are completely unaware of Jay and his past. I'm willing to give them some grace if they don't know. As you can probably tell, I just have a past or a history with them being, what's the word, unsavory or problematic, right? And I don't know, the fact that they stock this brand, there would be some kind of details exchanged, whether that is full government names for banking details or shipping addresses or what have you, especially as Tattoo Everything Supplies does sponsor Jamie. They would have to send him things through his name. Like, what would they put on packages? Just Jay TattooArt? Like, no, there would be a full name on there. Do you know what I mean? But then also, if they do know Jamie's full name, what are the chances of them like Googling his name or what have you? Not everyone Googles everyone they do business with, right? I don't know. I just don't trust it, but there is a chance they don't know. Okay, long story short. I firmly believe that Jay or Jamie should not be a tattoo artist. I firmly believe that he should not be anywhere near the tattoo industry, whether that is with a tattoo studio or with Tattoo Aftercare. Having so many people support your business after you've been a disgusting human being and financially help you, nah. Gross. There is no room for that in the tattoo industry, and I will die on that hill. You can only imagine the grotesque things that he is willing to do with photos of his clients. Tattoo artists do take photos of the tattoos they do, which happen to be on their clients, obviously. His phone is going to be filled of photos of his clients. Can you imagine where those get sent? Where he shares those? How many of his clients have ended up in group chats with Jamie making jokes about his clients' bodies? Would you trust this man to be your tattoo artist? I most certainly wouldn't. I would not want this man taking any photos of me. I wouldn't want this man tattooing me. This whole thing is just so enraging and so infuriating. Like, can we just not? Like, leave the tattoo industry alone. Like, why are you here? Nobody fucking wants you. If anyone is willing to support this vile human... What the fuck? Do not give this man the time of fucking day. And trust me, I will be coming for this man for the rest of my life. I guarantee. As soon as this video is uploaded, I am sending a link to every single sponsored tattoo artist. And what they do with this information is out of my hands now, but at least they fucking know who they're supporting. And I hope to God that all of them, or at least the majority of them, think, holy shit, what the hell am I doing? And reject their sponsorship immediately. That's the least they can do, right? I don't know what, it's just, there are so many tattoo artists out there that are such decent human beings who would never, ever, ever dream of doing what Jamie did. Never. They are nothing but kind and sweet and respectful towards people's bodies, right? And they're out here struggling, having to get second jobs because they're financially struggling. And then you have this disgusting basement dwelling rat making a ton of money, taking advantage of tattoo artists and clients that don't know any better and don't know who is behind this business. God, It's just, it's so shady. Like, if he was a bit more open and transparent about the whole thing, this wouldn't be such an issue. But the fact that he's hiding his past, nah, you are not getting away with it. You are not getting away with it. No way. Oh, not today. Not ever. No. I don't want anyone defending him in the comments, because, like, what? Why would you defend his actions? Like, there is nothing, you know, defensive. Like, he was a grown-ass man when he did this. It's not like he was 15 years old and was fucking around with his mates and being all jokey and silly and, you know, whatever. I mean, I knew at 15 that you don't take photos of fucking dead bodies. Like, let's be serious. But, like, he was a grown-ass professional man. He should have known better. There is no excuses for his actions, and he should not be allowed to have access to people's bodies. Please and thank you. I will die on that fucking hill, and anyone that disagrees, I'm sorry, you're a red flag, okay? That's all. I'm done. That's pretty much it for today's video. I feel like it's best for me to leave it there before I really go off on one. That's the beginning of me going off on one, trust me. Oh, and one more thing to add onto all of this is the fact that Emily, the co-owner of Apollo Tattoo Aftercare and the co-owner of Graceful Tattoo Collective, follows the Reform political party and Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage is basically the face of the Reform political party, and Reform is basically an extreme far-right political party. They are vile, they are evil, incredibly racist, sexist, misogynistic, basically just like the worst of the worst. And of course, Graceful Tattoo Collective also follows the Reform political party. So with Jamie's past and this, they are for sure not a safe space tattoo studio. I would not go there by any means because their political views are disgusting. It would not be a safe space for minorities. It would not be a safe space for the LGBTQIA plus community. It would not be a safe place for immigrants, people of colour. Like, it is not a safe place because they are willing to support the Reform political party. Again, a extreme far right political party. I did check Jamie's account and he doesn't follow the both of them, but you know, his tattoo studio that he co-owns does follow it. So again, I just don't, well, he's not a safe bet anyway, so you know, like, of course, avoid at all costs. You know, his tattoo studio follows it, so you know, just as bad, if you ask me. I know some people don't care about politics when it comes to the tattoo industry, and, you know, you don't care who your tattoo artist or tattoo studio is supporting politically, but I know some people do care about those things. I do personally. And it's just so wild to me that there is a tattoo studio out there supporting far-right extreme views, especially as the tattoo industry is basically built off of rebelling against stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? It just does not fit. So yikes. Please, if you are a tattoo artist, share this with your tattoo artist friends if possible. If you know anyone that is working alongside Apollo Tattoo Aftercare, make them aware of this. I will obviously do my best to send this where I can to who I feel like it is relevant to. I obviously will have a lot of messages to send when this video goes live, but it's so worth it. Anyway, my darlings, that is it for today's video. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all so much. And yeah, until my next one, bye.